SCP-3008, the famous SCP IKEA store, is known to be infinitely large and practically inescapable. And being full of angry staff that try to kill you after dark, it isn't a place to get lost in. But what if we used its infinite space to our advantage, as an SCP-682 containment for example? In this SCP Exploration episode, we try to contain the Reptile in the infinite IKEA. Before we begin, we've created a new channel called SCP Comics, where we showcase entertaining comic stories about SCPs, so if you're interested, check out the first 2 episodes and subscribe if you want to see more. Before we can say whether SCP-682 can escape from 3008, we need to quickly think about getting the indestructible lizard inside in the first place. The first thing that comes to mind is to create a hole in the IKEA's roof and lower a sedated SCP-682 using a helicopter. But unfortunately, this can't work because in SCP-3008's wiki entry, it is stated that breaking through the walls leads into the non-anomalous interior of the original store, so we will have to get SCP-682 inside through the main entrance. And though this sounds difficult, it isn't impossible. We just need to damage 682 until it is small enough to fit through the entrance and make use of its weakness towards hydrochloric acid by trapping it in a container full of it. The only danger would be the fact that the site where SCP-3008 is located is in an urban area, so a potential breach would have tremendous consequences. But risks are to be expected. We are trying to contain SCP-682 after all. So now that the vehicle carrying the lizard is in 3008, the driver only needs to lose sight of the entrance and voila, they are now trapped in the infinite IKEA's alternate dimension. The driver should run away at this point, because despite of the hydrochloric acid, SCP-682 will escape the container sooner or later. So now that the lizard is trapped inside, let's see how 682 reacts to its new containment. When SCP-682 escapes from its mobile containment chamber, it will be enraged and will immediately want to return to the SCP personnel and kill them, which in this case means escaping from the store. The lizard will start running around, looking for an exit, but will soon find out that the IKEA is much larger than expected. This will likely confuse SCP-682, given the fact that it hasn't been tested with such an SCP before. And naturally, after a few more minutes of clueless running around, the confusion will turn into frustration, because as we know, 682 wants to exterminate all life forms, and this means escaping 3008 as fast as possible. At this point, the idea that the IKEA might be an infinitely large anomaly will cross SCP-682's mind, frustrating the lizard even more. The creature will likely look for an alternative escape route, for example through the roof, but will be disappointed to find out that the place is very high and seemingly goes on forever. This will enrage SCP-682 even further. However, there is one thing that the hard-to-destroy reptile can be happy about, namely the presence of the faceless IKEA staff. As stated, 682's life goal is to exterminate all life, and although the IKEA workers aren't exactly humans, which as we know are the lizard's favorite prey, they are humanoids, so close enough. Without any hesitation, SCP-682 will attack and kill all 3008-2 instances it sees, all the while running around and looking for an exit. However, this can't go on forever, because as we know, a day and night cycle is present inside, which brings about a new challenge. So how will SCP-682 deal with all the aggressive staff during the night? On first glance, this doesn't seem all that challenging considering SCP-682's powers. Every now and then, 3008-2 workers will find the lizard and attack it, which in turn will be happy to rip them apart. However, if we read the IKEA's wiki article, we notice a small detail that makes a big difference. In the journal of an SCP-3008 survivor, it is stated that bodies of deceased workers attract more anomalous staff during the night, This means that the more SCP-682 kills, the more workers will come. We don't know where the anomalous staff come from and how many are out there, but if SCP-3008's infinite size meant anything, then we can very well assume that the workers are also infinite in numbers. Which is why humans build settlements and hide inside of them during the night, because if they fought and killed staff, more and more would come. But SCP-682 isn't an anomaly that is known for hiding, especially when the alternative would mean killing humanoids. This means that every night, SCP-682 will begin fighting the workers, and more will come as the night progresses. In the end of the night, 682 will have killed hundreds, maybe even thousands of 3008-2 instances, certainly a sight to behold. And such a massive battle will most definitely have kept SCP-682 busy during this time. But unfortunately, the workers are only attracted to the bodies of their colleagues during the night, so in the day, the lizard can overcome the temptation to kill them and instead focus on trying to find an exit. However, as we know, SCP-682 is known for its incredible adaptation capabilities, and everything that doesn't kill the lizard only makes it stronger. And even though hundreds, potentially thousands of 3008-2 instances would be attacking 682 at the same time, it is very unlikely that this will be a danger for the lizard. So is there a chance that using adaptation, SCP-682 can neutralize the threat the IKEA workers pose, maybe even make use of them? As we said, 682's adaptive capabilities shouldn't be underestimated. So how exactly can the lizard turn the tables in this scenario? Well, as we know, the reptile has always found a way to eliminate the danger that is jeopardizing its existence, and in this case, the danger are the thousands of IKEA workers that keep attacking 682, just as they attack all living creatures at night. Well, the lizard can always change its outer body so that it becomes resistant to the staff's attacks, and simply wait out every night, but there is a much more efficient way. SCP-682 can change its physiology so that it becomes similar in composition to the IKEA staff, so that the workers see the lizard as one of their own and don't attack it. Furthermore, it is even possible that 682 adapts in such a way so that the IKEA staff perceive the lizard as their leader. In this case, the reptile will not only be left alone on its search for an exit, but can also order the staff to destroy man-made cities, something it would normally have to do on its own. And lastly, should SCP-682 stumble across an exit, it could order the staff to come with it, essentially creating an army of soldiers that are to aid it in fighting off the Foundation. Well, now we know that the staff will not only be futile in their attempt to kick SCP-682 out of the store, but could also be used by the lizard for its own purposes. But all this would be totally irrelevant if SCP-682 remains inside the infinitely large store. So finally, we come to the most important question. Can SCP-682 escape from SCP-3008? In order to say whether the reptile can escape from the IKEA, we first need to remind ourselves how someone can escape in the first place. In its wiki article, it is stated that more than one exit exists inside, but all of the entrances are extremely hard to locate because they change locations constantly, not to mention the IKEA's nearly endless size. And it is not uncommon for survivors to see an exit vanish before their own eyes. So let's get back to 682. It can't reach the ceiling, and besides wandering around, the only thing it can try is to dig straight down. But given the fact that the building is infinitely tall, then the ground is probably infinitely deep as well, so once again, no luck. It seems that the reptile's immense physical capabilities can't really help it in this scenario, because finding an exit only depends on luck. So it seems that containing SCP-682 in 3008 seems like a good idea. It isn't all too difficult to pull off, and the risk of the lizard returning is very low, given the fact that only one person has escaped till now. Not to mention that should the reptile escape, it will exit in an SCP site that is heavily guarded, so a containment breach is not that likely. But if we read the survivor's journal carefully, we notice another detail that makes this containment proposal even better. In the journal, it is stated that many of the survivors' stories seem to contradict our reality. One survivor claims that there is no Statue of Liberty in her world. 3 others hadn't heard of the International Space Station, and 2 others had a totally different Prime Minister. And if we combine this information with the fact that very few people have been reported to have gone missing in SCP-3008 from our reality, but thousands live inside, we get the idea that the people inside the anomalous IKEA come from different realities. And if this is true, and people from alternate realities can also enter into 3008, then one can exit the IKEA and end up in another world as well. So even if SCP-682 manages to locate an exit, which is already very unlikely, the probability that this exit leads to our reality is even lower. So in the end, we see that containing the lizard in the endless IKEA is not such a bad idea after all. The only downside to this containment is that many of the survivors inside will be terminated by 3008's new apex predator. But let's not forget that SCP-682 breaches from its containment on a regular basis and kills many people every time it escapes, so people will die either way. Perhaps it would be better if they died in an alternate dimension and not in our world. This concludes our video about containing SCP-682 in 3008. So what do you think? Would the hard-to-destroy reptile manage to convert the staff to its side? And would 682 find an exit? Let us know in the comments below. Please make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, as we have many more interesting SCP videos coming up, and we plan on exploring more hypothetical scenarios with SCP-3008 in the future. And as always, we will see you in the next video.